93 WIBC, Rob Kendall, your opening act for the mashup. Brian Baker out today. Coming up in just a little bit, you'll hear the best of today on IBC, including Tony Katz, Chicks on the Right, Hammer, and Nigel, and more. And first, as you know how it works around here, when Brian's out, we bring in a guest host to help me open up the mashup. And today it is my good friend, Indiana State Senator Jim Merritt. Senator, the fair.
The fair.
It starts today.
It starts today. Yes, it does. And it's, I hope everybody goes and enjoys the food and the fauna.
Yeah, and we talk about this on our State House Happening show, which people can hear Sunday morning, 6 a.m. here on WIBC. But this is such a big event, not just for the city of Indianapolis, but the entire state of Indiana.
Yeah, from head to toe, from South Bend all the way down to New Albany and Madison. It's quite an event, and 4-H-orama.
Now, I learned something today listening to the WIBC News, which is that Homeland Security actually checks the rides at the State Fair. That's like part of their job.
Absolutely. And you've heard all sorts of problems around the country through the years, sometimes anecdotal, sometimes tragic, where their rides are not installed correctly, and you got a problem. So we don't need any problems.
What do they do when they check the rides? Because like if they're like, Rob, check these rides, I'd be shaking them. Yep, looks good to me.
Yeah, we don't need Rob Kendall checking the rides.
I'd have a cold beer in one hand. Yeah, those screws looking pretty good. What do they do?
Well, it's not like the state police who stop a trailer.
Yeah.
It's a concerted effort by that agency to make sure that everything is installed correctly. And they have the expertise. Not saying the Indiana State Police do not have the expertise to do what they do. Homeland Security has the expertise and the professionalism to look at all the rides and make sure that they are installed correctly so they're safe, and we have a great Indiana State Fair.
I'm so fascinated by this. Is there a department, or do they like hire carnies to go out and do it? Like, is there somebody in Homeland Security who's trained in rides?
Yes. They're not
really?
rides, but there are professionals that are part of Homeland Security that understand these contraptions, if you will, these flying contraptions, and they get the job done. And it's it allows us all the peace and quiet to have fun at the Indiana State Fair.
Now, tell us a little bit about Indiana's Department of Homeland Security. Do you guys fund that? Does the federal government fund that? How is that group put together?
Well, primarily it's funded by the state of Indiana. I'm certain, like every other department, there are some federal funds that go into it, but this Homeland Security Department has been integral in law enforcement. And as you're aware, we have a situation room over yonder near the state government complex that is really an intersection of all law enforcement that can really assist Homeland Security in making sure that everything in our state is secure. And if it isn't, we know about it immediately.
That's a really interesting thing, because I remember when I was on the town council in Brownsburg, we had Lucas Oil Raceway, which is in the town of Brownsburg now. They actually had, like, for the the big races, a Homeland Security vehicle set up where the local police, the federal, the state, they were all there. Is that sort of thing at the Indiana State Fair?
Yes. In fact, this really, our bent on Homeland Security, if you will, at the fair really started with the tragedy of the stage collapse. And we are so much more oriented to safety now than we were before. That's not to say we weren't safe before, but I can tell you every I is dotted and every T is crossed. And we have a central nerve center, and there's no fooling around. All State Fair Commission members have to take a test before the start of the fair, and I've got to do that actually today. And because the fair starts today.
It's like a driver's ed test?
Close. And we are the eyes and the ears. And some of our listeners may see me wandering around the state fair. And we all keep our eyes open. We all direct. We all make sure that people are hydrated and having fun.
What is your favorite part of the fair?
My favorite part of the fair, as we spoke on our show that 8 people listen to.
Every Sunday morning, 6 a.m., you can hear Senator Merritt and myself, Rob Kendall, the State House Happenings podcast.
Exactly. And I like the food. I really enjoy the food. And we detailed it on our show recently, and it's just a lot of fun to see what's covered with chocolate this year.
All right, so people may be hearing your voice, and they're used to hearing you on our State House Happenings podcast. They're used to hearing you on my Sunday show on WIBC. But this 9 p.m. slot, which opens the mashup, they may not have heard you before. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to spring this on you.
Okay.
There's a big rumor, and I pressure you once a week on this. You're going to run for the mayor of Indianapolis. Are you prepared to make the announcement tonight on the mashup that you're going to beat Joe Hogsett in 2019?
Folks, I'm being mashed on the mashup. We're thinking about it. I'm laser focused on re-election to the Indiana Senate. However, I've looked at the mayor's office in 2007 and 2015 and decided not to run for it then. But this is my city. This is your city. And I feel very, very strongly about my city. And I want to do everything I can in the Indiana Senate and as a citizen of the city of Indianapolis and Marion County to do everything I can to make it a great place to live.
All right, real quick. I don't know if you're aware of this, but Governor Holcomb and I've been a little critical of him in the past on some various topics.
You have, and it's cringeworthy.
Yeah, and it's great radio, Jim. It's great radio. Some people advised me. They said it might be best for our state if you guys would come together because it's not good to have the more conservative wing of the party, the voice of that, sparring with the governor. And I said, okay, let's do it. Let's try to create some sort of mechanism by which we can come together, maybe to come to some consensus on some issues, and we can all move forward.
That would be a good idea. Maybe we could do it over chocolate-covered bacon or something.
Well, I had proposed beers, but chocolate-covered bacon would also work.
Well, we've had the beer summit. Well, that didn't go so well.
I've dubbed it the Peace Summit with Governor
Peace
Holcomb.
Summit. Yeah. We could have the bacon summit.
Well, you strike me, Senator Merritt, as a fun-loving guy who enjoys a beverage from time to time.
I do.
Have you ever had a beverage with the governor?
No, I have not.
Okay, so you don't know what his beverage of choice is, because I'm thinking maybe that might be what would get him.
That could be, and the Indiana State Fair, we've got beverages there.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Wine, and Governor
beer.
Pence, of all people, made it possible for us to have beverages there.
Yes, he signed that, and I was a little bit a part of that. And it's a great stop on the Indiana State Fair circuit.
I'm thinking you would be the perfect guy to moderate the Peace Summit between Rob Kendall and Governor Eric Holcomb.
We could do it, and I'm happy to ask him.
Yeah, will you ask him?
Absolutely, I'd ask him because the governor talks to about anybody, as
yes.
you know, except for you.
But I've said many times before, I think he's a very nice man. I just disagree with a lot of stuff, but I have some great ideas for our state, and I really feel confident, Senator Merritt, that after, let's say we spend 30 minutes together, maybe an hour, he's going to walk out of there going, those were some great ideas, and that guy deserves a Sagamore. Because as we've talked about on our show before, I really want a Sagamore for the wall at home.
Well,
can you nominate me for a Sagamore?
I can nominate you for a Sagamore.
Because you guys are buds.
And I would nominate you for a Sagamore. With the idea of ideas and the Sagamore, I think you'll take the ideas. The Sagamore may be a leap.
It doesn't even have to have my name on it. I just want one for the wall. It can have your name on it. I can get yours on loan because I know you've got one.
Maybe wifey'd like one.
That's right. She would be much more apt to get one before me. I'm Rob Kendall. He's Indiana State Senator Jim Merritt. It's time for the mashup, which starts right now.